heard it, but I'm going to now.
Well, actually, I learned this story about 5 years ago, and I couldn't believe it, so I never published it. But it's since been verified, so it's true. Here's the story. I received a letter and an article from a well-known Belgian theologian. The article was a learned dissertation on a very obscure passage in Ezekiel, which nobody understands. It's the passage about Gog and Magog coming from the north and leads up to Armageddon and so on and so forth. I mean, nobody knows whether Gog and Magog are people or places or some other thing or whatever they may be. So the passage is extremely obscure, but it enters into evangelical Christian theology. Gog and Magog, or whoever your current enemies are. So when Reagan talked about these things, Gog and Magog were the Russians, and they were coming down to do all kind of horrible things. Now, Gog and Magog are, at that time, this is January 2003, it was, of course, Saddam Hussein, and he was presumably coming down to attack Israel, leads to Armageddon, the souls that have been saved rise to heaven, everyone else dies. The Christian evangelical tradition of which this is a part is very strongly pro-Israel. They're one of the main pro-Israel blocs, but they are also the most anti-Semitic element in the world. They're in history, probably. Their picture is all the Jews will be killed. I mean, unless they happen to convert in time. Can't get more anti-Semitic than that. Anyhow, Bush was meeting with Jacques Chirac, the president of France. He was trying to convince Chirac to join in on the war against Iraq. Fortunately, he didn't have that problem on 10 Downing Street. Didn't have to quote Ezekiel. But in the course of the discussion with Chirac, he started going on about this Gog and Magog and Ezekiel and so on, and Chirac had no clue what he was talking about. So he approached the Élysée, the Foreign Office, asking, can you explain to me what this maniac is raving about? And they didn't know. So they approached this Belgian theologian who explained to them what it was all about. Well, that's what we've survived. It's kind of amazing that we're all alive. But we've survived a world in which the finger on the button that can destroy us all in 5 seconds is often some world where Gog and Magog are coming around. And it was the same with Reagan. In fact, it's been the same for the last few years. And for years, a large part of the fate of the world has been in the hands of one lunatic who's waiting for the second coming, and Armageddon and so on, and another one who's waiting for the 12th Imam, who's about to die. Human survival. If somebody was watching this on Mars, they would think that human survival is a miracle. There's no way it can continue like this, and chances are it can't.